Hi everybody, thanks for tuning into my channel, Living in Tampa, where it's my goal to show you everything you need to know about eating, sleeping, playing, and living in the greater Tampa Bay area. Hey, if you're thinking about moving to Tampa and you're not quite sure what to do or how to do it, then you're going to want to watch this video today because I am interviewing one of my customers that has recently purchased a home here in the Tampa area, and we're going to cover everything from start to finish, everything that they did, and give you some great tips and advice on how to get started with making the move to the Tampa area. So let's get to it. Today's guest is a client of mine that bought a house here recently in the Tampa area. His name is Kevin, and I'm going to be asking him a bunch of questions that I find that I get asked a lot when people are making the move here to Tampa or thinking about making the move here to Tampa. So Kevin, thank you so much for taking this time today and talking with me and sharing your experiences with my listeners.
You're welcome. Hello, everybody.
So first off, Kevin, what made you decide that you wanted to make this move here to the Tampa area?
So we looked at a bunch of different areas, and in the end, Florida turned out to be the right answer for us. The weather for us moving from Illinois, the taxes were significantly better, and just everything about moving to Florida appealed to us.
Good, good. I know the taxes are a big thing that I get a lot of people asking me about all the time. They're always so happy to hear that Florida has no state income tax, so that alone is a very significant savings to you. The cost of living is also a little bit less than most places in the U.S., so Tampa is definitely a good place to consider for all of those reasons. So when you committed to this move, Kevin, what were some of the steps that you took to make that move? That's a big move from Chicago to here. So what did you do?
It was a big step. We had been in the house that we were in for 17 years, so we had a lot of stuff. So the first thing that we did was start to prepare for the move and just look at the things that we had accumulated. We wanted to downsize, so we were looking to make things a little bit smaller, and so just cleaned out a lot of things that were there, and then just prepped the house up there to get ready to sell.
Right, so you were coordinating the sale of a home there and the purchase of a home here, which is a thing that a lot of people have to do. This is a little bit off of what we talked about, but I know that was a little bit stressful too, and the timing of it. We were able to kind of work that out, but you definitely had to have a contingency plan in place just in case.
We did, especially with the market being as competitive as it was down here. So just trying to get ready. We actually started off looking for a second home, and when COVID hit, I was able to work at home, and work worked with me to be able to actually move, and continue with my job the way that it was. So we were fortunate in that we were able to pick up and move and make this our primary residence, as opposed to a dual housing situation. And so that all really worked out for us.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So I find that a lot of people that are thinking about this, they think about it, they never actually do anything. They get the whole, analysis paralysis. What were some steps that you took to kind of move everything forward?
So I'm a big overthinker. So I certainly understand that, just really overthinking all of the what ifs and all of those things. And my biggest advice would be to, obviously have a plan. So don't do this and not have a plan, but really understand things and understand that in most cases things are going to work out, and they did. And so just really look at that and understand what you needed to do. And I think if you have a good plan, set your mind to it and then do it.
Just do it, just like Nike says, right?
Nike
Just
says.
do it. So what were some of your major concerns that you had leaving Chicago? I mean, like we said, it's such a big move. Florida's considerably different than Chicago. What were some of your major concerns?
So the biggest thing is people. So our friends, our son's friends, he has he plays hockey, so all of his hockey support and where he grew up was all there. So that was really the biggest piece, and still some concerns with work. So it was definitely going to be different, and going through the change. But the big thing is friends, and we get a lot of visitors, especially when it's cold up there and warmer down here.
Oh, exactly. And you guys have really plugged into the community. You've got made a lot of friends. You had some friends here that already lived here before, but you guys are out there. You know, you really have made friends, and you take advantage of everything Florida has to offer. And I think it's really great.
Yeah, between running and walking groups, both my wife and I, we've been able to plug in there. She's been able to find volunteer opportunities and make friends through that. Through that. A lot of golf and things that Florida offers. So that's another great advantage is you can golf all year round. Sometimes you got to put on a long sleeve shirt, but generally you can golf all year. So we were able to do that, and just as you get down here, you start to get friends upon friends, and it just continues to build.
That's awesome. Well, great. So you said your work allowed you to work remotely, is what you had just mentioned. So if that wasn't the case, do you think you still would have been able to make this move here to the Tampa area?
So I think from a second house perspective, yes. From a primary residence move, I'm not so sure. But certainly right now, it's very competitive from an employment perspective. So the big thing, if you're considering it, is to ask. And then there's a lot of people that are hiring. So if you're into a change or want to look into a change there's certainly that opportunity. I was very fortunate that I didn't have to do that. But there's certainly, there's a lot of people hiring and take a look to make the move.
So Kevin, when it was time for you to finally make that move and buy that house, the market had really turned into a challenging market. It wasn't, I should say, as challenging as it is right now, but nonetheless, it was still quite challenging. Tell me a little bit about that and how that all played out for you.
Yeah, so we this was actually the third house that we had bid on, and so houses were going very quickly. They weren't around for more than a weekend, so very challenging from that perspective. Learned one, we had to bid over the asking price. So you need to be prepared for that. Used a little escalating clause, which was a little bit of a trick to help to, just push above. So, understanding how to make that bid and understand what you're looking for. So depending on your financial situation, you can always, there's different options for you to try to make the bid and win a house.
Exactly. Yeah, it's not easy, but it's definitely doable, and there are lots of nice little strategies like that. As far as the house itself, you decided on the area of Land O'Lakes. Can you speak a little bit about that, how you came to that decision, and what attracted you to the Land O'Lakes area?
Yeah, so it started out with the friend base. So we had a few friends. I have a college friend here that had introduced me to some people, so I had a little bit of a base, and we had been down here a few times, and that was the big thing. We came down and we started out in some different areas and really just kind of drove around to understand where are the areas that we want to be. Did a lot of research from that perspective, just understanding what each of the areas had to offer. And so ultimately ended, with Land O'Lakes, and we had looked in Wesley Chapel and some of the close areas. We had even looked south of Tampa for a little bit. But really liked this area, the closeness to the beaches, the closeness to Tampa. I mean, that's huge to be able to get down and do, all the things that there is that Tampa has to offer, and all of the beach towns I think are so awesome. There's so much to do. So that's how we ultimately ended up here.
Great. Yeah, I agree. I mean, Land O'Lakes is so proximate to everything. Downtown in like 30 minutes, an airport in like 20 minutes, and beaches, you've got so many to choose from in an hour or less to get there. So definitely makes Land O'Lakes an attractive place to be. So when you bought this house, you weren't actually here physically in person, and we did this virtually. That's becoming more of the norm these days, but I think quite back then when we first did it, it was kind of new and kind of the beginning stages of all that. How was that for you guys?
So looking at all the pictures, so obviously the listing comes out, and you get to look at all the pictures, and then you would come out and take us through, and we would FaceTime, and we would look at all of the different rooms and ask you questions, and you would point things out. So it's definitely different from that perspective. And as we looked at some houses, you started to understand some of the things and some of the questions that we were asking, so you were able to do that. And we had a friend come through with you, so that was obviously very helpful as well. And just understanding the different areas, we would ask questions and you would point things out, and we definitely had to trust you, which we did, and we even had a house that we went through that you basically said, hey, there's a couple things that concern me here, and so we ended up not making a bid on that particular house. So just understanding that and knowing that things that you would normally do when and I say normally, but trying to buy a house, it's just a little bit different now. So the first time we actually saw this was for inspection, and so we were definitely not disappointed.
Yeah, I mean, it's a beautiful house. And I mean, it was a beautiful house when you bought it, but you definitely made a lot of changes to it. You had to make some compromises because of the market, the way that it was, and the way that it still is. People are having to compromise and not always getting everything that they want. I know you had to make a few compromises on this one. Tell me about that and some of the changes that you guys have made to it.
Yeah, so like I said, we were downsizing, and I think a lot of it was... a lot of it had to do with the downsizing. In Chicago, we had a basement. There are no basements here, so we didn't have a basement. So storage was a big thing. That helped us to clean things out a little bit more. And then some of the changes that we did. It's the base of the house, the bones of the house were really solid. And so we were able to make some changes to make it ours. So, redoing the kitchen, we redid the bathrooms, paint, and paint is always easy. So we did a lot of that ourselves. But, certainly making those changes and kind of seeing, having the vision when you purchase the house and the changes you want to make it yours.
Yeah, well, you guys did a wonderful job with it. It's so beautiful. So when it was time to make that actual move, this is kind of the questions that I get asked a lot, and part of what I'd really like you to share with. That always seems a little bit overwhelming to people, lining up the movers, trying to coordinate everything with the timing. You have any advice or tips for that kind of thing?
Again, the planning. So we when we made the move, we first came down here, we actually closed before we closed on the house in Illinois. So we still had some pieces of furniture, some key pieces of furniture that were there that we needed for bedroom furniture and things like that. So we spent a little bit of time on air mattresses and using an outside table for a table, just so that everything could be we could leave everything there. Just so staging it there, and so it really worked out for us as far as the plan was concerned. We got here, we were able to close, we were able to paint before all of the furniture was moved in, and then once it was time, went up there and gathered the rest of our belongings and moved everything down. So
that's
just
awesome.
Again, timing,
planning. Always make a plan and try to stick to that plan. That is great advice. So now you've been here close to a year already. I can't believe time is flying by so quickly, but now that time has passed, any regrets or anything you would have changed?
No regrets. Nothing that I would change. And for anybody thinking about doing it, certainly would just encourage you to do that. Things worked out really, really well for us. You were a great help, so we certainly appreciate that. Helping us line things up as far as inspections are concerned and lenders and things like that. So no regrets, and very happy we did it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time, Kevin. And there you have it, guys. That is Kevin's tips and tricks to making the move to the Tampa Bay area. Hey, if you've got any questions about this video or the Tampa area in general, don't hesitate to reach out to me. You can give me a call, send me a text, shoot me an email. Whichever method of communication you prefer is fine with me. Hey, when it comes to moving to Tampa, I've got your back. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you found this video helpful, and I'll see you next time.